Have you ever felt a presence in an empty room? A whisper on the edge of hearing, a shadow in the corner of your eye? What if I told you there's a way to not just sense it, but to hear what it has to say? Tonight, we delve into one of the most mysterious and debated rituals of the modern era, one whispered about in quiet online forums and dusty old books, the ritual of echoes. It's a procedure said to allow a person to hear voices from seemingly empty spaces. But this isn't about ghosts or spirits in the traditional sense. It's about something far stranger, the idea that powerful emotions, significant events, and even unspoken thoughts can leave a permanent acoustic imprint on a location. A psychic residue that, with the right key, can be unlocked and replayed. Stay with me as we explore the steps, the history, and the chilling accounts of those who claim to have performed it. The origins of the ritual of echoes are as hazy as the whispers it claims to summon. There are no ancient grimoires or definitive texts. Instead, its history is a patchwork of anecdotal evidence, personal journals, and digital breadcrumbs scattered across the internet. Some trace its conceptual roots to early 20th century psychical research, where investigators use sensitive equipment to try and capture impressions left in a room. Others point to folk traditions from various cultures that speak of listening to the walls. The modern version, however, seems to have crystallized in the early days of the web, a blend of old-world superstition and New Age energy theories. It's a fascinating example of how folklore evolves, adapting to new technologies and communities. The core belief remains the same, that a place can remember, and under the right conditions, it can be made to speak its memories aloud. So, how does one supposedly perform this ritual? The first and most critical step is choosing the right location. It can't just be any empty room. The lore specifies it must be a place with emotional weight. Think of a long-abandoned family home, a disused hospital wing, a theater where countless dramas played out, or even just a room where someone experienced profound joy or sorrow. The theory is that the stronger the emotional energy imprinted on the space, the clearer the potential echoes will be. A brand new, sterile apartment? Unlikely to work. But that dusty attic where generations of family secrets were kept? That's a prime candidate. The location itself is the primary instrument, the recording medium that has been capturing unheard sounds for years, just waiting for someone to press play. We'll get into the specific tools you'll need next. Once you've chosen your location, the next step involves gathering a few specific items. According to the lore, you'll need 3 things: a source of pure white noise, a tuning fork specifically one calibrated to the key of C, and a single unscented white candle. The white noise, often from a simple static machine or an untuned radio, is set to act as a carrier wave. It creates a blank auditory canvas upon which the faint residual echoes can be painted. The tuning fork is the key. Striking it and letting its vibration fill the room is meant to attune the space, resonating with the latent psychic frequencies and bringing them to the surface. And the candle? Its purpose is twofold: to provide a single focused point of light in the darkness, and to symbolize the purity of intent, creating a safe anchor in the otherwise unsettling experience. Now, let's walk through the procedure itself. The ritual must be performed at night, in complete darkness, save for the single white candle. You begin by setting up your white noise generator in the center of the room, turning it on to a low, consistent volume. You then light the candle and place it beside the device. The next step is to sit comfortably on the floor, close your eyes, and focus on your breathing. The goal is to quiet your own mind, to become a passive receiver. After several minutes of this meditation, you take the tuning fork. You strike it firmly once and let the pure C note ring out until it fades completely into the static. You do this 3 times. After the 3rd chime fades, you simply sit and you listen. You don't strain to hear. You just let the sounds of the room, layered over the white noise, come to you. What do people actually claim to hear? The accounts are incredibly varied, which is part of what makes the ritual so compelling and difficult to debunk. It's rarely a clear, conversational voice. More often, people report hearing fragments, a single word, a sigh, a faint snippet of laughter, or the sound of weeping. Some describe hearing muffled arguments, snippets of old songs, or the sound of footsteps on a floorboard above, even when they're on the top floor. The most unsettling reports speak of hearing their own name whispered from an empty corner of the room. The sounds are often described as sounding distant, as if coming through a wall or from the end of a long tunnel. They are echoes after all faded, distorted, and incomplete, like a worn-out recording played one too many times. One of the most famous accounts associated with the ritual of echoes comes from a group of urban explorers in the late 1990s. They decided to perform the ritual in a derelict mental asylum, a place heavy with a history of suffering. According to their story, which they later posted on an early internet message board, the results were terrifyingly clear. After striking the tuning fork, they didn't just hear faint whispers. They reported hearing the distinct, overlapping sounds of crying, frantic shouting in a language they didn't understand, and the metallic clang of doors slamming shut. The most chilling detail was the sound of a woman humming a lullaby, which seemed to grow louder and closer until they panicked, extinguished the candle, and fled the building, leaving their equipment behind. They swore they would never attempt it again. Of course, we have to talk about the psychology behind this. Skeptics offer a perfectly rational explanation: auditory pareidolia. This is the same phenomenon that makes us hear words in the rush of a fan or see faces in the clouds. The brain is a pattern recognition machine, and when presented with ambiguous stimuli like white noise, it actively tries to find familiar patterns. In a dark, creepy setting, primed by the expectation of hearing something supernatural, it's almost inevitable that our minds will create those sounds for us. The silence, the flickering candlelight, the story of the ritual itself, it all works together to create a powerful sense of suggestion. So, are the voices real? Or are they just phantoms created by our own minds, desperate to find meaning in the static? Despite the scientific explanations, believers hold firm. They argue that auditory pareidolia doesn't fully account for the specificity of what is heard. How could multiple people in the same room report hearing the exact same phrase? How do you explain hearing a name that was significant to a former resident of the house? A name the person performing the ritual could not have known? Proponents suggest that the ritual works by lowering our psychological barriers and heightening our subconscious sensitivity. The white noise and meditation don't just prime us for suggestion. They put us into a state where we are more receptive to subtle energies that are always present, but that our busy, conscious minds normally filter out. To them, it's not a trick of the mind, but a calibration of it. Whether you believe the ritual of echoes contacts lingering psychic imprints, or simply unlocks the strange theater of our own subconscious, one thing is certain: it touches on a deep human curiosity about the unseen world and the nature of memory. It's a modern piece of folklore, a ghost story for the digital age, born from our desire to connect with the past and uncover hidden truths. The power of a story like this isn't necessarily in whether it's real. Its power lies in its ability to make us look at an empty room and wonder, to listen a little more closely to the silence, and to question what memories a place might hold long after the people who made them are gone. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the unknown. If you enjoyed this exploration, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more dives into the mysterious. Until next time, listen closely,